I'm going to show you why the most profitable move in my playbook is the one that looks like weakness to everyone. Else I wait on purpose and how Jesse Livermore turned boredom into a mint that printed millions. Most mornings I sit in front of a wall of screens and do the one thing markets punish the least, nothing. Not because I'm timid, not because I don't see opportunities, but because I've learned that what looks like empty time is actually the furnace where conviction is forged. The futures tick, the news scrolls, chat rooms spark with certainty, and I don't touch a key. I listen instead for the difference between price and behavior. Livermore taught me that distinction. Price is what happened. Behavior is how it happened. When a stock shrugs off bad news, when a leader refuses to dip while the index gasps, when volume swells quietly on every reclaim and dries on every sell-off, that's not noise. That's intent, and intent needs time to reveal itself. I didn't always trade this way. I used to feed boredom with trades 5, 10, 15 in a day, each one a little anesthetic hit against uncertainty. My P and L bobbed like a cork in the tide. Green mornings, red afternoons, sleepless nights. Livermore's journals cut through my excuses. He called it the line of least resistance, the path price must take once human nature tips. He didn't try to force that line into existence. He waited until it appeared. Then he moved with a precision that looked like courage, but was really obedience to proof. So I built a new ritual. Before the bell I mark 3 proofs and 3 disproofs for every name on my list. Proof might read, reclaim 128, hold 20 minutes. Rising participation. Disproof might read, close below 124 on expansion. No fast reclaim. If proof doesn't show, I let the alert ring into an empty chair while I walk, breathe, reset. Boredom stops being a threat when your rules are louder than your urges. This is the heart of the waiting game. Patience is not passive. It's paid reconnaissance. Every minute I don't click is potential energy I'm stockpiling for the one campaign that deserves aggression. When that pivotal point triggers, I'm not guessing, I'm following. And because I've done the slow work up front, I can act fast without feeling reckless. That's the paradox Livermore mastered. The more you respect time, the more time repays you. Be honest when the market goes quiet. What do you do to handle the itch? Take a small trade, overanalyze, or step away and let alerts work. Drop your answer below so I can tailor the next section to your reality. We're about to step inside the lever that moves all of this, the inner conflict that makes stillness feel unsafe and action feel righteous. That tension is where accounts are won or lost. When I sit before my screens each morning, I remind myself that my job isn't to trade, it's to wait. The market doesn't reward the most active. It rewards the most disciplined. Livermore knew this long before any algorithm existed. He treated time as capital. Every minute he didn't trade was energy saved for the one move that mattered. At first, I couldn't stand the silence. The charts would move, notifications would flash, and my pulse would demand I do something, anything. That's when losses came. Acting from boredom is like paying a tax on impatience. Livermore said, it was never my thinking that made the big money, it was my sitting. I began to see what he meant. The sitting wasn't passive, it was a filter, separating false signals from truth. Now, I build structure around stillness. Before the bell, I mark where proof of strength or weakness must appear before I act. If it doesn't, I don't. Simple, but not easy. Waiting is a trade in itself, it costs comfort. Yet every moment I resist the urge to force action. I move closer to Livermore's rhythm, patience before profit, proof before conviction. Every trader faces the same unseen opponent, not the market, but their own urge to act. The waiting game tests something deeper than analysis. It tests endurance. I used to believe activity meant progress, that clicking the button was proof I was engaged. But the truth is, most trades were just noise disguised as purpose. Livermore learned early that a trader's biggest drawdown isn't always monetary, it's psychological. The need for movement drains clarity faster than losses ever could. He used to say that markets are designed to punish impatience, and it's true. Every fake breakout, every false rally, every trap is built for the trader who can't sit still. Waiting, on the other hand, feels unnatural because it's quiet. It gives you no feedback, no validation, no thrill. That's why boredom becomes dangerous. It masquerades as opportunity. I began studying my impulses during those slow days. Every time I wanted to trade, I'd write why. After a few weeks, the pattern was clear. I wasn't reacting to the market, I was reacting to myself. That realization was humbling. Livermore turned that same boredom into clarity, using it to observe reactions that others overlooked. The more I waited, the more I saw how leaders behaved. Before breakouts, how weakness revealed itself long before collapse. The paradox was undeniable. The less I did, the more I understood. Waiting became my sharpest edge. Boredom in trading is a silent trap. It creeps in during those flat sessions when nothing moves, whispering that you're wasting time. I used to mistake that stillness for stagnation, thinking the market had forgotten me. But Livermore understood that boredom isn't avoidance, the market's way of resetting emotion. He saw it as the most dangerous phase, the one where undisciplined traders invent trades just to feel alive. He waited because he knew the real moves begin when everyone else stops paying attention. The waiting game separates professionals from participants. Most traders want motion. Livermore wanted confirmation. The crowd trades for stimulation, but he traded for synchronization with the right moment, not the constant one. I've learned that the hardest part of this business isn't finding opportunity. It's surviving the spaces between them. The urge to act is biological, but the reward belongs to the one who resists it. In those quiet stretches, patience is profit accruing invisibly. Livermore mastered that boredom, and in doing so, he mastered himself. Livermore's entire philosophy revolved around control, not over the market, but over himself. He believed that price movements were simply reflections of human behavior, magnified and repeated. His genius wasn't in predicting what would happen next, but in knowing when to stay out until the market revealed its intent. He often said that the big money was never made in the buying or selling, it was made in the waiting between those actions. He studied the tape not to chase motion, but to read character. Every price reaction was a sentence, and he read patiently until the story made sense. If a stock rose on bad news or refused to fall when it should, he didn't celebrate or panic, he observed. He called these moments the proof. Only when that proof was clear would he commit his capital. Modern traders drown in data, but Livermore relied on silence and observation. His timing came from discipline, not speed. He treated boredom as a signal that others were acting emotionally, and he let them exhaust themselves first. That's why his trades felt almost supernatural. He moved only when probability and behavior aligned perfectly. Waiting wasn't delay for him, it was precision. I remember a trade that tested every ounce of patience I had. It was a tech stock. During a quiet summer, drifting sideways for weeks while traders online called it dead money. Every day, I watched it form the same narrow range, waiting for proof volume expansion, leadership strength, and a clean break above resistance. But nothing came. The boredom was suffocating. I wanted to act, to feel alive, to prove I was doing something. Then, one morning, the tape shifted. No news, no catalyst, just quiet, persistent strength. It refused to drop on market weakness, absorb selling without effort. That was my signal. I entered when the market confirmed what boredom had hidden: accumulation. 2 weeks later, it exploded upward, not because I predicted it, but because I waited for it to prove itself. That moment changed my view of trading forever. The profit wasn't just in the move, it was in the restraint that preceded it. Livermore would have called it the one trade that paid for the waiting. I realized boredom isn't wasted time, it's the toll gate before reward. Those who rush through it pay with losses. Those who endure it cross into timing. Every trader faces that moment when waiting turns from discipline into doubt. It's the quiet stretch where confidence starts to erode, and boredom transforms into fear of missing out, fear of being wrong, fear that the market has moved on without you. I've been there, watching the screen in silence, every minute feeling heavier than the last. The mind starts bargaining, maybe a small position, maybe a quick scalp. That's the moment Livermore warned about, the emotional low point when patience feels like punishment. Livermore lost fortunes before he understood that impatience disguises itself as opportunity. After long stretches of waiting, he convinced himself to make something happen, and every time, the market punished him for trying to outsmart time. He later wrote that his biggest losses weren't from being wrong, but from being early, acting before proof. That's a wound every trader recognizes. At my lowest, I realized that the hardest part of trading wasn't analyzing markets, it was managing silence. Livermore turned that silence into structure. He said boredom is not the enemy. It's the filter through which truth eventually emerges. The low point only hurts if you mistake stillness for failure. Livermore's breakthrough came when he redefined what it meant to trade. He realized success wasn't about constant participation, it was about selective precision. His rule was simple, yet brutally effective. Wait for the line of least resistance to form, then act decisively. That line wasn't just a price level. It was psychological proof that the market had chosen a direction. He stopped predicting and started listening. He wrote that the market always reveals its intention, but only to those who wait long enough to see it. Every false move, every shakeout, every boring sideways stretch is part of that revelation. Most traders try to anticipate it. Livermore let it unfold. When the signal appeared, when volume confirmed direction and behavior aligned, he didn't hesitate. His aggression was earned by patience. This was the balance that made him great. Patience built the setup. Aggression captured the reward. The rule wasn't to wait endlessly, it was to wait intelligently. Proof had to come first. Conviction came only after. That mindset separated him from the crowd. Livermore didn't chase certainty. He waited for evidence. That's why he could risk big when others hesitated. He had waited long enough to deserve his confidence. Modern traders live in a world that Livermore couldn't have imagined. Screens flashing, alerts buzzing, algorithms reacting in microseconds. Yet, his principle of waiting for proof before acting is more relevant now than ever. Technology gives us speed, but speed without patience just multiplies mistakes. Every click, every trade, every alert is a test of discipline disguised as opportunity. The modern market rewards restraint in a way that data can't measure. Livermore would have thrived today, not because of faster tools, but because he understood that true edge comes from clarity, not quantity. In a sea of constant noise, he'd still be the man who waited for behavior to confirm intention. A breakout means nothing if emotion drives it. A reversal means everything when structure validates it. Waiting is harder now because information addiction disguises itself as productivity. But Livermore's wisdom cuts through it. Proof still takes time, and time still exposes truth. The more you slow down, the more you see patterns others blur past. Patience in modern trading isn't outdated, it's evolved. It's the trader's firewall against overreaction, the anchor in digital chaos. Livermore proved that waiting doesn't mean you're behind, it means you're aligned. To apply Livermore's principle in practice, I follow a simple structure built around proof, not prediction. Each morning begins with observation, not action. I scan for strength that shouldn't exist and weakness that shouldn't persist. This helps me sense where the market's real intent might be forming. Then comes definition. I write down what will prove or disprove that intent. Proof might mean a breakout that holds above resistance for several sessions with rising volume. Disproof might be a failed retest or sudden loss of participation. Once those conditions are set, the waiting begins. I let alerts work so emotion can't drag me into noise. When proof appears, I move quickly, small at first, scaling only when the market confirms further. It's not about size, it's about synchronization. Every add-on must be earned by continuation, not hope. Then comes maintenance, sitting tight while price behaves as expected. If disproof shows, I exit instantly. The key is not to argue with the tape. Livermore's entire structure revolved around these cycles: identify, wait, act, sit, and listen. Following this process daily turns patience into discipline, and discipline into rhythm. In trading, consistency isn't built through prediction, it's built through proof. In the end, Livermore's lesson on waiting isn't about markets, it's about mastery. The ability to wait without losing focus is the highest form of control a trader can reach. Every successful trade begins long before the entry. It starts in silence, in observation, and restraint. Livermore understood that most fortunes are lost not through lack of skill, but through the inability to endure stillness. The waiting game, when practiced correctly, refines judgment until patience itself becomes precision. He turned boredom into preparation and waiting into timing. That's what separates the ordinary from the exceptional, the willingness to do nothing until doing something makes absolute sense. Modern traders often equate speed with opportunity, but the truth hasn't changed. The market rewards proof, not noise. Each quiet moment is an opportunity to build clarity, to let emotion drain out before capital goes in. Livermore lived through booms and collapses, but his rhythm never changed: observe, confirm, and act only when behavior aligns with truth. The patience that made him millions still applies today, even in a digital world obsessed with instant feedback. Trading, at its core, is a mirror. The calm trader sees structure. The restless one sees chaos. Waiting reveals who you are before it rewards what you know. Livermore's greatest fortune wasn't the money he made, it was the discipline he became. In every era, markets test conviction through boredom. Those who master that silence will always find their moment when it finally speaks.